What's going on? Brother Amen Oxbay, come to you giving you a quick promo about my book. Been asked a lot of questions about what the book is about and why is it important to read. I am the author of my story. My mistakes, mishaps, and misfortunes are not a guideline to mental training for positive reentry. Vision behind bars. First, in an earlier video, I told you about the cover of the book that's inspired by Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Civilization, as well as Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sing, as well as Paul Laurence Dunbar's poem, Sympathy. I want to send a shout out and thank the one that actually helped me put the book together as far as the cover and the publishing of it. Send a shout out to her. Thank you, Miss Lady. The beginning of this book, why this book is important. When I came home, it deals with guys coming home from prison and re-entering into society. And I can remember coming home, two of my friends, Rich and Robert Earl, came to pick me up from Virginia. I came home and they came down there and the Benz drove me home, and I remember the whole trip I just was up, you know, because I was happy that I could open my legs and just ride in the car and not have shackles on, not have leg irons on, and it just felt good. So it's about 11 to 12 hour ride, and I just was up the whole time. It felt different, looking at the mountains, looking at the clouds, looking at the sky, smelling the air, and being in the car with my friends, and we just traveling on the road on our way back to Detroit. But I can remember getting back to Detroit. The city was so different. Now, this is almost a 2-decade lapse in being home. So they had made a lot of changes around the city. So it was a lot different. I can remember something this minute. I can remember when we was merging on the freeway. In my mind, I was thinking, how could you merge? Because it always looked like there was going to be a crash. Now, I've been had my license. I was a driver, so it was not like I wasn't driving. But it had been so long, and I had been out of tune. It's like living on Mars for almost 20 years. I mean, just you have to contemplate and think about these things. So that's what the book is about. Things like that, and coming home, and they put you out of prison after, let's say, the 2 decades. They give you a bus ticket, maybe $50 to tell you to go home and make it. You have to go find a job and do. Those are the biggest things they do for you. They tell you about finding a job. You have to have a place to stay. Hopefully one of your family members, a girlfriend or what have you, have a place for you to stay. But coming home and re-entering into society is like a mental strain if you don't have these things in place. Everything that I write as being a writer, I write from a psychological standpoint, because physicalities, we always say we can deal with physicalities. We can make it through different things in life based on physicalities because we're strong enough to make it. But when that mental get into it, and you in a particular space, you in a particular time where you have to think your way through it. You have to be strong inside to pull it out and make it manifest. Some of us not able to do it. We get caught up here and can't bring it forth. And that happens a lot coming from prison. So that's first that I'm talking about. Brothers coming home, and another thing, just case in point, dealing with our children. When I came home dealing with my 2 sons and my daughter, it was such a journey. And the journey is continuing on today. But it's such a journey after not being there. And you want to be a father. You want to be a dad. You want to be that part. You want to play your role even though you had been absent. but you still want to play your role. So how do you fit into their life and fit into this particular role without being shunned, without saying, dude, you ain't been there for me, you nothing to me. My mother is my mother and father. These are the conversations a lot of us get coming home. And let me say this, in some aspects, rightfully so. So I'm not against it in that particular sense, because I do understand it as being raised by a single mother for the most part. So I do understand it in a sense, but when you come home and you want to play that role, it's such a big fight that you have to go through. So I talk about that in this book, what happened in these things. So the book talks about putting these 5 things down that you want to accomplish upon you coming home. Now, let me digress for a minute. Also, because it's not just about prison in the sense of confinement with bars, gates, and walls that we think of when we think about prison and when we think about entry. I give a breakdown of a greater definition of reentry. When, let's say, a woman or a person that's on drugs, when you are confined, when you can't control yourself, when it's something else, a different entity, a substance or what have you, is controlling you, and you can't be who you supposed to be, who you want to be, you can't do what you want to do in a sense because you are being controlled. That's prison. That's prison. You got to come from prison once again and re-enter into society. If you are a lady in an abusive relationship, you can't move like you want to move, and you got to suppress the things that you say. This prison, if you're in a job, and I go through some of the things in the book, but so it's not just about the prison as we see it and what we know of it. It's about prison also when it's in a state of mind and you're in different places of confinement. So you need to come from that prison and you need re-entry. You need an intervention too. And that's what this book is about. So it gives you the 4 aspects to look for when you're dealing with re-entry. The first one, you have to understand what happened. So that's your backdrop. You have to go back and analyze the situation of what happened. How did you get in this particular situation? And you have to be honest. Because it's easy to lie, especially to yourself. Until you take a step, look back and look in the mirror, then you'll say, oh wow, these are some things I never even wanted to deal with. But they are a part of my reality. So once you deal with them, then you can move forth. But you have to be honest in dealing with them. So you have to look at that particular situation. So the first one is a backdrop. Then you go in, after you get the backdrop, you got to prepare yourself. What preparation am I going to go through to get out of this particular situation? You have to think about it. And this is all situations. You got a backdrop, then you have to go to the preparation stage. What do I have to go through to get me out of this situation? The next one is coming home. Now when you finally emerge from the particular situation or the prison, and you re-entering, meaning you coming back into society, how do I put that preparation into motion and turn that negative backdrop into a positive? So that's the coming home part. And then the last one is, what's your desired result? What do you want to accomplish? If you had your chance to give a perfect situation, a perfect example of what you want to happen, what would it be? What would it be? And see, we got to ask these questions of ourselves. We have to ask. Other people can't give you these answers. You have to ask these questions of yourself. And that's what this book is about. It's about positive reentry based on self. Before I can help somebody else, before I can see it in somebody else, before I can do something for somebody else, these are my children included. I have to help me first. I have to get right first, and then I can move forward and put that positive energy out front. This book also takes negative energy, shows you how to take negative energy and transfer it and make it positive energy. We have to know how to do these things. We have to know how to do these things. And that's what this book is about. Taking the negative and making it a positive. Everybody will get something out of this book. It's asking you to do a particular exercise. It's asking you to do some things where you have to go in and do a little soul searching. So that's what this book is about. And everybody, especially that you know that's in prison, that's coming home shortly, that has a lot of time, that just came home, that you love, and you want to help, this is the starting point. Everything is vision behind bars. They had a vision behind bars, even though if it wasn't crystal clear. They had a vision. This helps you focus on your vision. If you love those people, and this is anybody, man, woman, or child that you know that's confined, give them a gift of love. Send it to them and tell them to read. Because I bear witness. That's what this is about. I've been through it, and I know what it takes. If you're in a situation in your life and you want to come through that situation and you want things to be a little bit better, get a chance, you sit down, you read, you're going to come out of it. And this is what I've learned since being home. Because even myself, I don't read as much, nowhere near as much as I did when I was locked up. I keep a book in my bathroom by the toilet. So every time I sit on the king's throne, I got an article to read. I got something to read. So I'm not wasting my time. So even if my day get consumed by the things that I'm going through in life and trying to better my life, I still take time out to read. We have to read our literature. We have to read our thoughts. We have to read our history. We have to read our future. We cannot continue to read other people's future, other people's books, and think it's going to be for us. Some things we read, I like a lot of different authors. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I do read other authors, but I'm just saying, our foundation. We got to make our foundation. So that's what this book is about, and letting people know, no matter what I've been through, no matter what I've done, my mistakes, misfortunes, mishaps, I don't care what those are. I'm still in control, and I am the author of my story. And we talking about positive reentry. We talking about mental training. So this is Brother A. Maddox Bay, A Vision Behind Bars. Go purchase the book. Book is $30. On Amazon it's $39. Hopefully I'll be having a fundraiser as well as a book signing real soon. Working on it. Thank you. Peace.